They're in icons. I got into the icons beta. Okay. What's up, everybody? My name is Richard Terrell. Welcome to DL Live. DL Live is a daily stream in which we talk about game design, and the theme for this week and the next week and maybe the week after is Super Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is my favorite game of all time. I got Adrian here on the DL chat. He's part of our Discord. You can find our Discord on our Twitter at twitter.com/designoriented. We have a YouTube channel in which we put these streams on that channel. There's all kinds of other produced videos on it, so you can check that out at your own leisure. But otherwise, we have websites and blogs and things like that. So if you're interested in game design, there's really only one place to be, and that's here at Design Oriented. So we're going to get started. I have a list of all these interesting Smash topics, and today's topics is going to be just a general discussion of advanced techniques right here. And somebody on Twitter asked, what is useless tech and how the community hypes it up, and maybe talk about what makes tech useful. So in general, we're going to tackle that topic under the banner of advanced techniques, and we're going to talk a little bit about parries. So that's the game plan. And oh, cool, we got people in the chat already. Cool. So the basic idea is the language for advanced techniques really started coming around Melee. I think the year was late 2002, because that's right when the competitive community started forming up, and we had a tournament at the January in 2003 called Most One, hosted by the D crew, close friends, and that was my crew. But back in the day, there wasn't a lot of people competing. The internet wasn't quite what it was today. We didn't have Web 2.0. Everybody didn't have their own blog. There was no Twitter. There was no Facebook. There's barely one website dedicated to Smash, and shout outs to Smashboards. If we didn't have that one place to gather and share information to do stuff, then who knows what would have happened to the Smash community. But essentially, like other message board forums, which were alive at the time, including the IGN message board forums and NeoGAF and other things like that, we had to find a way to talk about the game, and essentially that's where I think my friend, his name's Corey, or his nickname's Corey, his real name's Josh. Yeah, that should be. And then I think he actually came up with the nomenclature for bear, fair, wear, dare, right? Like, isn't that crazy how these words we use to describe all these moves actually had to start somewhere, and somebody had to sit there going, I'm tired of typing in forward air, how about fair, right? So language was born on these channels, and it's really a necessity to talk about what's happening in the game, especially when we couldn't share videos and stuff like that. So while talking about the game, we had to describe things that we were doing. We had to give it a name sometimes if it was popular, or if we want to keep referring to it. And that's why labels naturally evolve and get placed on gameplay techniques and sequences and whatever. But a technique in itself is a really general term. It just really could cover anything from how you hold your controller to the series of buttons that you press to the context in which you should press those buttons. It's all under the banner of technique. And really, when you're as bad as we were in Smash, right, and just trying to get good and putting in the time and slowly building our skills, the idea of advance is just relative to the casual player, I guess. Right after you start taking the game seriously and you start learning about L canceling and sweet and sour spots and weak hits and your damage windows and percentages and combos and links and all that, then those are all advanced techniques, right? Those are things that fly way over the head of casual players. So it really isn't so much of considering casual and advanced. Almost everything you do when you're competitive is advanced, and that's just how it is. And then otherwise, it's just how good is the technique, how popular it is, whatever. If it's character specific, or can it be applied to a lot of different characters. So let's not get overboard and kind of go crazy trying to talk about what is a technique or what's the good advanced technique, and by extension, what is useless tech. There's tons of stuff that we've learned that's useless. Some is just cool for style points. I mean, about moonwalking and Smash Melee. It's not good for... I don't think it's good for anything practical, but you can really score some style points if you moonwalk into a jumping reverse bear and stuff like that. And nobody really does it unless they're really feeling themselves or their name's Mango. So taking just about any subtle, nuanced, or peculiarity from the system, from the gameplay, and just recognizing it, all of a sudden you have an advanced technique. I can't tell you all the crazy things that I found in Melee. I mean, you know I love labbing. Created one Smash, we created Tech of the Week. I've labbed Smash 4 for like thousands of hours just sitting in my chair on my 3DS. But I used to do that with Smash 64 and Melee, and I used to remember all the weird glitches that were unreproducible. Like there was 2 times, I think exactly 2 times I was playing Smash 64. I used the stone ability with Kirby and I hit an enemy, and then it gave it almost 999 damage. I don't know how. One of them was on the lower left area of Pokemon, the Pokemon level. What was it? Saffron
City?
Yeah, Saffron City. And I remember this was like, and then the damage just went all the way to the top. Couldn't reproduce that. There's all these other crazy glitches and crazy happenings that I was never able to reproduce, and other techniques that I labbed that are item specific and stage specific. Like if you up throw with Kirby on forest side and Melee as the saucer's coming in, even when it's off the screen, Kirby will land on it and send the enemy like instant kill at 0, like off the top, right? And I used to play around and wait for the saucer and then just get a grab and finish off matches like that. It was just so fun. But like that's an advanced technique, and I don't know if a lot of people know it because not a lot of people play Kirby and or on foresight and or had that kind of foresight. So yeah, there's techniques everywhere, and a lot of times people discover them while they're having fun, which is usually the most fun way to do it. And people remember the stuff they do, the goofy combos they have, and even if they're incredibly hard to set up, that's techniques, right? And I showed you some techniques earlier in the previous stream, like Mario's reverse fireball into a landing up air into a fair spike, and those are really hard to land. So it's just nice. It's just nice to find these things. Whether or not they're practical is a matter of how weak of an opponent you're playing and how hard it is to pull off the move just in general. So I don't really consider too much about the viability when I'm talking about techniques. It's really up to you. Just like with playing low tier characters, it's really up to you to find a way to make it work, and however that means, right? But there is a lot of tech out there that has almost no application, or even has a great application, nobody's using it, and maybe that could fall generally under the banner of useless tech. The reason why people like Adrian, he's had questions before, it's like, what about wave dashing? What about dash density? All this tech that I hear people keep talking about. Like, you can't talk about Melee without somebody bringing up this tech. What is this tech, and why do people keep talking about it? Well, it's because Melee had to go through a lot of growing pains in its long life, and one of the earliest battles we had to fight was that the game was a legitimate competitive game and nobody took it seriously, but we did, because we played it and we didn't really care what other people thought. So one thing we tried to use to communicate to them what we were doing was all this advanced technique, like, look at these things we're doing. And then, some people tried to couch it in terms like, look, it's unintended, we're making up the game, we're making the game competitive when it wasn't meant to be. So stupid. You're just playing the game. You're playing the game they built. A designer had to sit there for weeks coding every single aspect of that game and making sure it's bug-free by going over it hundreds and thousands of times. You didn't make up anything. You're just playing the game. So that whole idea, that whole stigma was kind of a long-standing thing. It was wrapped up in a lot of what Smash had to communicate just to put its name on the map. And now the residual effects of that is just people having sort of an overemphasis on technique and advanced techniques, and which advanced techniques are good and which ones are better than others. That's just, all of that's a dumb conversation. It all goes into one big bucket, and you just talk about it because you want to talk about individual cases. And I think that's the best way to do it. Oh, if you want to see some useless tech, though. Oh, let me click this button because it's so funny. So every detail, every nuance, right? That's what oops, I didn't even plug in the HDMI again from the Switch. I have my Switch and my Wii U right here, and they use the same HDMI. And technology, right? And then I have to plug it in like that, and then the video, there you get the video. And I grab my gamepad over here. So let me show you some useless tech. Completely useless. But while I do that, I'm going to scroll up and talk about our next topic. Where is it? The next topic is parry, so I can show you that in a second. But parrying is something that a lot of video games are putting into their games nowadays. I love parries, and I've once said before that parries are the most action the most sort of complex and therefore action-rich action that you can do in like a game, like a fighting game. And I'll explain why in a second. But so here's my completely useless tech. Was it on Donkey Kong or Charizard? I think it was Charizard, but it's also Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
I'm gonna do Charizard.
Charizard.
Chair Lizard. If you are Joey Wheeler, you pronounce it Chair Lizard. Chair Lizard. Whoa, what stage can I do now? What stage can I do now? So Smash Brothers has a property in the game that allows, if you hit somebody in the back like this, beep, they turn around to face you. Smash Ultimate, Smash 5, does no longer has this. You can punch people in the back and knock them on their stomach. And it's impossible to do that in this game. They turn around instantly, and it's annoying. Because if you just kind of want to lightly interrupt someone, and you're like, haha, I worked so hard to get behind you, and you jab them, all of a sudden all that work's over, and they could just shield grab you if you try to put any kind of a gap in between your stuff. So it's a little annoying, and I'm glad it's gone. I actually thought about that a long time ago when I was thinking about Melee. I'm like, isn't it weird how the players just flip around to face you all the time? And my original theory was, when it was hard to recover in Melee and not a lot of characters could grab the ledge facing backwards, it was sort of a courtesy to be like, I'm going to face you in the right direction if you get knocked off the stage, so you don't have to worry about turning yourself around with your up B. Pretty cool. But now we don't need it. So, or now people are just going to have to deal with it. So, there's one thing that I learned that you could do with Kirby. Let's see if I can do it. I think I can... What was it? Like, you can walk so close into the model and then like jab him in the face backwards. How do I do that? It's probably Donkey Kong. No, not like that. If he sees idle animations are actually ruining it, stop it, Charizard. What was it? I'm trying to perfect pivot jab. There, see that? That's it! Useless tech! I jabbed him backwards in his face, and because Kirby was backwards, the game was like, well, the only way you can jab someone forward is if you are facing left to right, but I was right to left, and I flipped Charizard around backwards, and it only works on 2 characters in the game, only when they're on the side of the stage, and only when you do an advanced perfect pivot jab while their idle animation is at a particular point. You want to talk about useless tech? I got a billion of these. I don't have a billion, but I have a ton of observations like that. It's just super funny. And it's funny because I discovered that first year of Smash 4, and when doing a warm-up on one of my tournament matches a year and a half later, I showed it in the warm-up, and my brother's like, it's useless tech, and now I'm showing it on stream. So, like, I've only done this 3 times in my life. And I'm never going to do it again because it's useless and it's fun. So now we can talk about parries. Let me just switch off. It's so funny. It's, like, so hard to pull off. So now, a great character if you want to practice perfect shielding is you put it on Villager, you set it for level 9, and for some reason the AI in this training mode spams forward B a lot, and Villager in particular uses these, what's another cool, pick a character, Adrian, so I can keep some variety in my stream.
Pac-Man.
I like Pac-Man. Cool. Villager stage. So let me flick back to the footage here on the desktop capture.
Melee Fox does perfect parry option select in Smash Ultimate. We talked about this in the Discord.
Perfect parry option select in Smash Ultimate. So... Okay, hold on. I'll get to that in a second. So Smash Dojo, this is the website that we had for Brawl that I checked every day in college because this was the place to be. Anticipating Brawl was so hype, so big. But this is all Sakurai said on the move. He changed it from Melee, so perfect shielding physical attacks in Melee sucked. You almost got all the shield stun. You got pushed back, and Melee had some serious shield pushback. And it was like useless because people are going to be L canceling on you anyway and recovering fast, and then the smashes and melee generally recover faster. So you're like, wow, do this really hard technique and it's useless. So he fixed it for Brawl. It says the enemy closes in to attack. You draw him or her closer, then closer still, and just before the blow connects, Clang, you just performed a perfect shield. You'll recover from the blow you just blocked with almost no delay and are in a perfect position to launch a counterattack. If you do a perfect shield on a big hit, get ready to strike back. And everyone read it because we were reading this stuff every day. Everyone saw it. People started saying perfect shield instead of power shield because it's called power shield in melee. And nobody did it. This is clearly not enough explanation to help people understand these new mechanical changes you put in the game. But essentially what it means is... Let me show you very carefully. Let's put the villager on AI. So after the gyro hits my shield, this is how slow my up tilt comes out. Like, as the explosions happen, you can kind of see it. Drop shield, But then if you perfect shield it, it's already happening like right after the impact. It may be kind of hard to see, but it's pretty literally a 7 to 10 frames faster. So, like, what difference does that make? Well, a big difference. Let me show. Like there, I kicked Villager before Villager had time to follow up an attack, and I just did. Some of you suck. Oh wow, put up a tree. So yeah, it's just a little faster, and it's great because if you can anticipate the timing of your opponent's attacks, you can pretty much attack as if that incoming attack were not even there. So, like, you know, who wouldn't want to get an opportunity to walk up straight into somebody and nail a smash attack? Well, it's hard to time that otherwise, but if you anticipate it just right, just like that, you can perfect shield, shave off some of the frames off the projectile, and then, you know, deliver the hit you want. So here is why parries are so cool in fighting games, right? You know, the parry, to be successful with the parry, you have to both anticipate what your opponent's going to do, when your opponent's going to do it, and anticipate or have set ahead of time your follow-up attack that takes advantage of where your opponent is, right? So, basically, if you're playing a fighting game in such a way that you are totally anticipating what your opponent's going to do and you have a perfect counter plan ready for it, then pulling off a parry is like a real clear way to show, like, I am in your head, I knew what you're going to do, and I had the perfect way to stop you afterwards. It's all of that mixed in. It takes into account timing, spacing, and the reads necessary to make fighting games work. So that's why I say a parry is just sort of like one of the ultimate moves you can do in a well-designed fighting game, because it kind of shows the world, like, get back, like you are nothing. That's why nobody can do it in Smash, because nobody's really anticipating situations and doing that kind of thing. Well, almost nobody. It's like super rare. So check this out. Falcon kick. Falcon kick. Nope, I parried that one. So if I hold shield and you Falcon kick, come on, man. Quit rolling around. Falcon kick me. Oh, wow. Falcon punch. Okay. Falcon kick, and I'll show him what if I try to up tilt it. Oops. Oh, it worked. It's not supposed to work. So if let's say if I'm this close, I perfect shielded it. I'm too good at that. So let's see. Falcon kick. And look, it didn't hit because he was already through me by the time my up tilt's trying to get. That's how slow it is based on normal shield impact. But if I parry it, look at the differences. Okay, stop that. Stop that. I gotta land. Oh, come on. I need my sound. Sorry if it sounds weird for a second. Oh, quit rolling, man. I was so much better without sound. There, see how you can catch up to him when you have the perfect shield. See how much faster it is? Otherwise, he'd be cleanly through me, and I'm getting him, like, easily. like that. That's why parrying's cool. See how even in this training session, I had to anticipate it, know which move I want to do, and you can't just pick any move. Like, watch me forward tilt in the wrong direction. Oops. See? Oh! And he's already through me. That's because Falcon Kick is a move that carries through the opponent, and when you perfect shield, you make it even easier for him to go through. So, you can't just do any move unless down smash. Doesn't reach, because it's not fast enough. So, like I said before, you have to have a lot in mind. You have to have a lot of a solid plan in order to make it work. And because Smash is so fluid and fast and crazy, and, you know, for whatever reason, people do not perfect shield. They don't even think of it like a parry. They just don't. So the new game, the new Smash Ultimate, the added hit pause is going to help a lot to make parrying at least more obvious when people get it. And when it's more obvious and it's slower, people can react to it better. And maybe that's going to be a difference maker. But what Sakurai said specifically on the description was, before, like how it is right now, you can tap your shield and at virtually no risk attempt a parry. And even a parry and a follow-up attack. So now it's going to basically be a shield release, so it's going to have to look a little bit like that. That kind of looked like it, but that's not what it was. So you're going to have to hold your shield slightly ahead of time and drop your shield right before the impact hits. And if you do it right in Smash 4, you should actually get hit. That's the appropriate timing that's going to work in Smash Ultimate. So that would have parried in Smash Ultimate, and then I would have smashed them. And because your shield up takes 10 frames, and dropping it, you can just drop it immediately after the 10 frames. All parries can basically be, you have to anticipate it 10 frames ahead of the impact. But otherwise, it's going to operate largely the same as it does in Smash Ultimate, just with a lot easier way to follow up. So, yeah, perfect parry OSs. So us at One Smash, we labbed a whole bunch of things. We labbed an entire suite of option selects for people to use. Because if you want advanced techniques, honestly, if you want advanced techniques, Melee players, you goofballs who crave advanced techniques like it's breakfast cereal, if you wanted it, all these games have it in their own particular way. But beyond that, Smash 4's option selects are crazy. They are so beyond anything that I know from other games in terms of option selects, because Smash is such a more systemically kind of crazy game. Like, I've studied option selects from Street Fighter Third Strike and games that copy that style, like Yagatarasu. I've looked at parrying in Rivals of Ether. You know, Barry Ball has a parry system, but it's a clash system, so it's a lot more easily accessible and universal, and it has different nuances to it. Let me go back to the desktop region. Yeah, so if you wanted techniques, something to really sink your teeth in, something that would really be like new and you could pioneer and like take it to tournaments, well, yeah, I gave it to you. We gave it to the world, and it's so conceptually hard to wrap your brain around that nobody could do it. And I don't really blame anyone, because even in Street Fighter, not a lot of people use option selects. They were kind of born in the Street Fighter style games, and even in Street Fighter, the top players have some, but not like a ton. And a lot of players don't understand it enough to devise their own option selects, so they just have to be handed the exact things to do from other players who really are good at labbing. And so if you want to talk about like the intellectual skill you need to just really dive in headfirst into this highly technical world of option selects, it's super high. I've never seen anything like it in a fighting game, like how you need to start thinking about moves, and not just in terms of what I want to do, but in terms of balancing multiple existing possibilities and creating an input style that could sort itself out based on what your opponent does. It's crazy. Yeah, Melee Fox says such a minority did it and understood it. Yeah, I think probably means for Street Fighter, but yeah, it's the same for basically any fighting game. So here's the Indie Circuit blog. It's a blog that I wrote for like 50 posts straight, one a day, because I like doing daily things apparently. And these GIFs show off the parry system in Barry Ball, and the parry system in Lethal League, and the parry system in Samurai Gun, and all. So this blog was supposed to be like, hey, check out these really simple looking indie games, like these small indie games you might not have heard of. Well, a lot of times people look at these games, they see the pixel art, and they're like, I underestimated. This game must be super simple and for babies. just like they did for Smash Brothers. I'm like, when are we gonna learn our lesson? So I made this blog and I basically labbed all these games, wrote down all these techniques, and then made moving gifs of them every time. And this technique's called was it spine tingling? What was it called? What did I call it? Boy, you can essentially, these spikes are supposed to kill you, but if you jump at it at a right angle and speed, you can basically walk down there and stay alive. And it's just funny. Like, that's an advanced technique. Can you use it? I used it. It's funny, but it's not that good. There's techniques we actually built into the game, like after touch for Bari Ball, and it shows it. The dive kick strategy for Nidhogg, explained that. Samurai gun. There's a technique in Bari Ball we call English, where you influence where the ball is going to be. And this little gif of, you can't really see it well on the stream, but you can go to the website. I'll put the link up. Technique, just making them and making them and making them and labbing them. So really, any game worth competitive play is going to have better ways to think about playing it, better ways to execute, better whatever. So it's not really about does your game have ATs. It's just called like do what it takes to play better. Whether that's a clear mind, a finger input style, a controller grip, a button sequence, or context in the game, do it. Yeah, so that was... Any questions, Adrian? Parries?
Nope, not yet.
Man, keeping up with this website was just so like, hey, I want to just talk about techniques for technique's sake and all the stuff. And like super labbing out every individual thing and then like considering the pros and cons. So it's another interesting thing about Smash, which we'll talk about later when we talk about metagames. Just because it's in the game doesn't mean people are going to do it, use it, understand it, or even appreciate it, right? So Smash, it could have been, or Smash 4 is balanced in ways that people don't understand. I still don't think people play certain characters correctly at all, as they were sort of intended and what their strengths are. I think Duck Hunt players are just now starting to realize how to play. It's not just run away and use can and weaken it all day and just run and be annoying. It's something of a mid-range game where you utilize and complement your sort of somewhat weaker normal options with these really unique projectile options. But I'll cover more of that when I do character specifics though. Oops, 999. Yeah. And like even if I give people like a completely safe way to do these parries and I describe the situations in which they probably should use it, and then I point out situations where they already were in the game and I say, here, all you have to do is do these 2 inputs or 1 extra input and you would have won the game. And they go, oh, and they just don't know. I don't know. It's like conceptually things are so hard to communicate and learning is so hard. I don't blame people for not being able to just listen to a random person who tweets at them and be like, you should have done all these extra things that are hard to explain. Like, sure, but I also don't take it that seriously when people complain about things that obviously have a whole different risk-reward table when you understand these techniques, when you play the game properly. When you just use the stuff that the developer is telling you on their website to use, then the whole game is different. So as much of what Smash is a result of players pushing it themselves and doing it for the sake of competition in the metagame. There's like a whole side of Smash that's like, here's how it was actually designed and intended to be, and they have overlap with how the metagame shakes out, but it's not exactly one-to-one. Yeah, Melee Fox says it's a shame how much unknown potential and unseen beauty Smash 4 has. Yeah, that's why I'm super glad that Smash Ultimate is just Smash 4.5, so to speak. But man, I think we could have just kept playing Smash 4 for another 10 years. Easy. It's just the game's so crazy. You have no idea. But then, like, if the metagame sort of settled on whatever, quirks, good and bad, that it has now, and it's kind of hard to shake that, maybe the new game is the best thing to shake it up. Hard to say. We'll address that on later streams. So if anybody has any final questions, I'll address them now. But otherwise, I'm going to do a couple more parries and then call it a night.
Yeah, now I got one. The option selects, they're based on the fact that the Z button's a macro for LNA hand that you have that 10 frame window when you do an attack, right?
It's not. You don't need the macro. You can option select with just any button. Like right here, Pac-Man shielding all the time. If you Falcon kick, it's gonna turn to an up B if I parry it. Yep.
Were these possible in Melee and Brawl?
They should have been possible in Brawl. Nobody did. Nobody did anything. So it's the same tech. It's like the same way it works. It should be possible. Oh, Falcon! You should have been dead. Melee. It's also technically possible, but like I said before, because it doesn't save you any frames, just doing a raw parry is not worth it in Melee. So adding the option select on top is probably even more not worth it. This game's so cool.
It's always interesting to consider the consequences of changing an individual mechanic like that. You know, not just the way they change the shields and change the parry, but even things how they change the air dodge. Like, I remember how big of a change it was from Melee to Brawl, where it became more physics-based, because it was based...
Yeah.
It didn't alter your direction, it was just wherever you were going. You can do it multiple times. Of course, that also means you can't wave dash.
Somebody said in Smash Ultimate that if you just don't hit a direction when you do the air dodge, it's the same Smash 4 style where it goes with your momentum. I haven't seen it, but people have said it. You can do some unique stuff like wave dash, perfect shield, Falco. Yeah, crouch canceling was way better. Yeah, I heard something about a Falco option select. I wonder if Mango does it or any of our Falco players. That was an option select. Haha, second Falcon. Cool. Good stream, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions or topics, let me know. I'll put the links to the blog and the junk in the YouTube description. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for parries. That's why they're cool. That's why nobody can do them. And this is just another reason why I think Smash is quote-unquote too complex. Because if you put all this junk in the game and players can't even get to 30% of it before the next game comes out, what does that really mean? Is it really just here for people like me to sit here and go like, old man shakes fists at Cloud and Bayo? Something like that. Like, is it really just for me to appreciate? And even if I try to share it, if nobody can understand it, like, what is that really worth? So that's why a lot of people who think, game design is just like put in all the crazy stuff, put it in and just let players do it. No, restraint, clarity, communication, education. Those are big parts of design. And as we saw with Smash Ultimate, certain things are changed to make them simpler. Dashing and then into Smash, like I said before, you could do that in Smash 4, but making it easier to do may just make the whole thing simpler so people can finally use it. Maybe ultimately that's better. Maybe advanced techniques are actually the opposite of what people want in Smash. I think people just want things to be easy. I mean, that's the tendency we all have. Like, why is this so hard? Why do I have to practice? But, you know, putting it in the game is not good enough. It's got to be either super fun to do or easy enough for people to stumble upon. And that seems to be one of the new lessons or new takeaways. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.